This morning we woke up and learned that um, Israel and Palestine have declared war. And I know we all use different words, but those are the words I choose. I will say Palestine today. And if you have a different word that you use for those regions, then use it. Because I don't care about the words, I care about the people. So I particular care about the people, my people, because I'm a human being still. And I woke up this morning to that news, and I first thought, oh my goodness. And then I thought, okay, they always have flirts, but this looks really serious. And we've been worried about this for almost a year now, and here it is. And then, of course, I thought of my friends. And as I started to orient myself to the fact that this conflict has yet again turned very deadly, I sent a text to my friend Orna. The last time I was in Israel, which was about a year ago, I asked her to show me. I said, I need to see, I have to visualize where you are when these sirens go off, when these raids go off. Because I had a concept. I mean, I'd seen the outside of the bunkers when I lived there in the past, but I hadn't seen her bunker and I hadn't gone into it. So she took me in there. It's an old one because she lives on a kibbutz and she doesn't have a fancy house. Now all new houses, when they're built, must have a bunker built in. And that's where many people are right now. In fact, that's where most people are right now. So hers, she doesn't have her own separate one. She has a communal bunker because she lives on a commune. And it's very plain. It's concrete. There's no carpet. There is light. There's electricity in there. There's some, emergency water and stuff like that. But very simple. Some chairs. And then I said to her, I was like, so what happens? What happens when you hear the sirens? And she said, I don't want to talk about that. And I said, I need to know. And she was like, okay, so what do you want? She's like, we run. And I said, why do you run? And she's like, because there's no time. And I said, how much time do you have? And she said, maximum 90 seconds. And I said, no, I envisioned that you had like 15 minutes. And she's like, no, we don't have 15 minutes. We leave everything. We drop what we're doing and we run. And I was like, how do you run? Because she has cancer. And she's very weak. And she's like, I do my best. And I said, how do the old people run? And she said, they don't. People help them, but they go at their own pace. And then they sit there and wait. So this morning, I was thinking of that. And what I'd like to do is walk us through what happens when we hear something like this and what we do. Because for those of you who still think that this is Zen practice, it's theoretical, let's wake ourselves up. It's life and death. It's now. It's very crucial. And it's very crucial right now that we use everything that we have cultivated in our practice, not for our own benefit, but for the benefit of others, because this is life and death. This is not a theory or a concept or an exercise or something we think about in our head. Let's do it. So first of all, I'd like for us to start by looking and feeling, where are you right now? Feel the ground under you. And I want you to look over your left shoulder and look out toward the horizon If you're inside, that's okay too. If you can see out the window, then look as far as you can look. And then turn slowly and look over your right shoulder as far as you can. Look, your other shoulder, whatever I just said. Slowly come back. Look up. Come back. Look down. And come back. If you're like me, you're safe. The fear that we feel, if you feel fear, we feel it because we're connected. We are completely connected. And at the same time, it's not our fear, our personal fear. So we can't afford to get swept up in it. The people who are in actual danger need us to use everything we've got, all of our concentration that we have worked so hard to develop, all the loving kindness that we've learned how to practice for their benefit. They need us to be grounded and focused with no extra. So if you feel caught up in fear, bring yourself back. I say that as if it's easy to do. It is not easy to do. We each have our own circumstances. When I saw the news this morning, my body remembered when I lived in Israel in my early 20s, and I was really afraid, sometimes really afraid. Our bodies remember those things. And we can remind ourselves where I am right now, and if we need to touch ourselves, we can. We're safe. Most of us, I think, are safe, in a safe place in this moment. If you're looking at me on the internet, then you're safe. So remind yourself that you're safe and that you're not the one in danger. And then next, let's connect. Because this is not a theory. This is real. And if you saw something in the news, I'd like to invite you to make it real. And I'm going to play a message that my friend left for me this morning. It's very short, and I'm going to play it. And I want you just to sit very quietly. You can have your eyes open or closed, and I want you to hear it. So here it is. Let me change the sound.
Oh my God, Kaylu, it's so bad. I was afraid exactly from that. I felt it from Rosh Hashanah that it will be terrible. It's more terrible than I ever thought. It will. My friend Perach from Be'eri, Kibbutz Be'eri, is now on the Hamas, control. She's alone on the cell room, and the terrorists on her home. I don't know what's happened. I'm follow her, but now the connection stopped. I hope she will be okay, please. And well, it's I have a lot to say, but I will not. A terrible time for us.
Whatever you feel, you can feel. Probably you feel more than one thing if you heard that voice. Our feelings are real, valid. It's okay. And her fear, which I think you can hear in her voice is shaking, is not my fear. So our connection makes us care. And our connection makes us feel. And they need us to use our safety, our practice for their benefit right now. It reminded me again of Shotai. I shared with you the time that somebody said something to me that was very unkind. And when I was starting to go into self-pity and anger, she stopped me. Tenku, now you must practice metta. We will do it together. So that's what we did today. So that's the next thing. We remind ourselves, I care, I'm connected, this is real. And then we use everything that we have. We've developed concentration, and that allows us to, even in circumstances where we're like, we can bring that in and use it, bring our breath in, ground our feet hard on the ground, our knees. And then we find loving kindness. We know how. When we turn our focus from, oh my God, what's going to happen to me, to how can I help you? The answer is very clear. We can't afford to be paralyzed. We can't afford to stop. We can't afford to feel. We can afford to cry if we need to cry. That is perfectly okay. And use our energy to gather and to send loving kindness like moonlight over the entire world. And today, in particular, over Israel and Palestine. Loving kindness transforms fear. Loving kindness transforms anger and hatred. So what's happened is that terrorists have come into that particular kibbutz and other places, but we know about this kibbutz, and they went house to house, gathering people up and taking them hostage. They could hear them upstairs. She could hear them as she was locked into her bunker, her safe room. I don't know if they got her out or not. She is not young. She's by herself. I do know that I feel certain she is afraid and that she needs us. So really take a minute and send her all the loving kindness you can possibly muster in this moment, everything you can find. Maybe you haven't seen her face, but you can imagine. Surround her with light, care, love. Let her feel the love from us. And let that loving kindness stretch out to the people with her. There are others. There are little kids and their moms and their dads and their grandmas and grandpas. So far, the hostages seems like maybe 50 different people are there. Let that loving kindness fall on all of them like moonlight or like gentle rain. And as it falls on them, let the loving kindness also fall on the people holding them hostage, mostly young men. Maybe just one to start. Someone who grew up in Gaza, who grew up in crowded conditions in what many people call an open jail. A person who grew up learning to hate. Is there anything more terrible than that? When our natural state is love and kindness. To learn to hate is the worst thing that can happen to a person. So as loving kindness also falls on him, allow it to transform his heart from fear and hatred into love. And let that soften his heart. And maybe somewhere there, without so much fear and hatred blocking, two people, we don't know who, just might see each other and feel that same love and connection that we just felt. Two people. Maybe one of the, we won't call them terrorists because that dehumanizes them. We'll call them people. Maybe one of the angry people sees someone in the crowd who reminds him of his mother or his little brother or his grandma. Maybe even Parag reminds him of his grandma. And then there's a connection, just a tiny one. But that's all that's needed. When loving kindness falls on everyone, leaving out no one, it can heal the entire world. Or, in a different way of putting it, it can bring us back into our natural state of care for each other. It can take us away from our unnatural state of hatred and back into our birthright of kindness and compassion. This is real. This is what it means to not waste time, because they need us right now, in this exact moment now. So no spinning out. Whatever you do today, including now, throughout your day, send loving kindness. If you go on a bike ride, send loving kindness. If you're with your family, send loving kindness. If you're reading a book, send loving kindness. If you're taking a few minutes of silence or eating, loving kindness. This is the best medicine for the entire world, and it is urgent. So that's what I wanted to say today. No merit. No merit. Just care and concern and love for the entire universe. Thank you.